This is a very, very bad look for Matt Patricia and the Detroit Lions. Skip, Matt Patricia had a duty to disclose this information to the Detroit Lions. Skip, maybe getting a speeding ticket when you're 17 years of age, maybe you forget that.
Yeah.
You don't forget this. It was not an allegation. He was charged. He was indicted by the grand jury.
He was indicted?
He was indicted by the grand jury. Skip, let me tell you how this thing works here, Skip. Before I got this job, the Fox boss was asking me, Shannon, anything you want to tell me? I said, it was alleged that I did something. I said, you can Google it, but I can give you the backdrop of it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sure they did their homework. Here I am.
But you were not.
I was never charged. The police never interviewed me. She just went down there because she was upset, but that's neither here nor there. I'm saying with Matt Patricia, you have a duty to tell them. Detroit, the Ford family owns the Detroit Lions. I don't know if we get a little context. The Ford family, those cars that you drive around, the Auris and the Raptor, that's their name on it. They have unlimited resources. Skip, this is what's going to get you, Skip. Now, the team president, Rob Wood, said, we did a complete background check. Our background check was limited to employment matters and does not disclose criminal matters. Is that what you do for your players? So you telling me now they ask you all these questions. Is your mom a prostitute or you gay? They ask all these questions of the players. But when it comes to a coach, it has to do with employment. We want to know what you did on your job when you worked at Burger King or you worked at this coming up as a kid. But you don't ask this? You didn't disclose this? Now, how does a newspaper with not nearly the resources that Detroit Lions or that here's the thing, Skip. That firm that did the background check, they're gonna probably be fired. There is no way you missed this. Because they found it, a newspaper, they found it. But you outsourced it to a corporation that's their job. That's what they do, Skip. All they do is background checks. And they couldn't find this, a speeding ticket, I get. Maybe getting suspended, I get. Get suspended in high school, I'll get that, Skip. But not something as serious as this. This is very, very serious. And for him not to disclose it, and for the Detroit Lions not to do their due diligence and find this out, because now you look bad. We didn't know. Well, you should have known because you should have did a more thorough investigation and found this out. This is very, very disappointing on both parties' end, Matt Patricia and the Detroit Lions.
So, speaking of the Ford family, Martha Ford, who is the team owner, who has been lauded by the Detroit Police Department for her stance against domestic violence and her commitment to changing the culture of the National Football League, says she knew nothing about this incident. It's not an alleged incident. It's an incident. It did happen. Indicted.
Something happened.
Something happened.
I mean, she said she didn't want the pressures of a trial.
She did not testify. She chose not to testify.
Correct.
But just so people get the background of this, Matt Patricia is 21 years of age. He's playing college football at RPI in upstate New York, and he and a buddy have gone for spring break to South Padre Island. It's a big, crazy week, and he meets the alleged victim a couple of days before on the beach, and they become friendly, and then her allegation was that he and the buddy burst into her hotel room and sexually assaulted her. And she immediately went to the police and immediately arrested both Matt Patricia and his buddy. And then she chose not to testify. And as you point out, the assistant DA attached a note card to the file saying victim does not feel she can face the pressures or stress of testifying. You've heard this before, I assume,
yes.
Right? Right?
Very common.
It's very common in these type cases. So back to your point, how do you not disclose? And how, more to the point, how did the Detroit Lions, a foundation National Football League team, it's been there forever, cornerstone, how do you not know this? How do you not find this out? And then it was reported by the Detroit News that there is a search firm in New Jersey. It's a private investigations firm. And somebody went to them about a month before the Lions hired Matt Patricia and asked for these records to be searched for. Okay, was it another team that was interested in Matt Patricia? This is a New Jersey-based firm. I know there was speculation that the Giants were interested in Matt Patricia way back when, you know, back before he was hired by Detroit. Is it possible the Giants requested that they search for these records? Maybe. Or is it possible the Lions did know about this and decided it wasn't a big enough deal because at that point he was 21 years of age and you file it under college hijinks or whatever you want to file it under?
Well, you better come out and say we are aware of this situation. Coach Patricia disclosed it to us, or we found this out, but we felt comfortable in making this hire. You don't say we didn't know, because that's a bad look. That's an awful look, because you should have known. And because, Skip, we've seen teams and we've heard teams, Blackman, the receiver from Oklahoma State. Mark Dominic said they took him off the board. They said they'd heard he had problems. They said he went and sat in a local bar. And every day at the exact same time, guess who came in? Blackman, the wide receiver from Oklahoma State. They took him off the board.
He had alcohol.
He had an alcohol issue. He had some other issues, too. He's been suspended and definitely failed 3 drug tests while being suspended. So, Skip, if they want to know with the resources they have, they can find out anything. How bad do you really want to know? Because if you don't want to know, you're not going to look hard enough. But if you really want to know, you do digging, so that way you cover all your bases. It's just disappointing because they find everything they want to find out about the players, but when it comes to this guy, they're just like, oh no, we good.
So, Joy, how do you feel about Matt Patricia keeping his job?
Well, look, we're living in different times now than even 6 months ago. I mean, Me Too has changed everything. Everything is heightened, as it should be. But I just found his statement to be odd. The quote, it's unfair and disappointing and frustrating that this would resurface now. I mean, this indictment did happen. Whether the actual incident happened or not, the indictment did happen. You were arrested. You were almost going to go on trial.
His statement was the only purpose of leaking this now is to damage my reputation and my character. Well, it happened.
What happened? Right. What she is saying happened, you're saying didn't happen. But the indictment did happen, for sure. And then the Lions statement is also odd. Why mention that he was 21 and on spring break?
What I got to do with
Who cares how old he was and if he was on spring break? Why would you ever put that in the statement as if this is like some sort of perspective?
No, you're trying to dismiss it as kids will be kids.
Spring break, there's drinking
so what
going
are you saying? What are you saying by that? What are you implying by that? That anything that happens on spring break, whether it's assault or not, is excusable because there's alcohol involved? So we don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't know why you would put that in there. It's ridiculous. And then the charge was dismissed by the prosecutor at the request of the complaining individual. Well, you didn't bother to put in that the request was victim doesn't feel she can face the pressures or stress of trial. So we're talking about context for the past few days. Why didn't you bother to put that in the statement as well? Who wrote this? Either one of them. They completely lack self-awareness. So if your purpose of the statements was to dismiss the situation, in my opinion, you only made it worse because what does 21 have to do with anything?
Spring break.
What does that have to do with anything? And why would you bring up that it never went to trial, but not mention why it didn't go to trial? And people always want to jump to the conclusion that, it's a he said, she said situation. She didn't go to trial. That happens all the time. It's almost impossible to sit through a sexual assault trial. Every part of your life is pulled apart. I mean, the Lions certainly don't think it's a big deal if you're 21 and you're on spring break. So why would you want to sit there and have your life picked apart and go through all of that for justice? It's very hard. So I'm not interested in playing prosecutor for Matt Patricia, whether it happened or it didn't happen. There's a justice system in this country and it didn't go to trial. I'm just saying I feel like the whole situation lacks respect for the climate that we're in right now for actual victims and just a complete lack of self-awareness, in my opinion.
There's a lot of people that's younger than 21. They got a long stretch because of sexual assault.
That's true.
Don't be thinking age or with spring break because they don't want to.
That's a very good point.
And also, Matt Patricia, he's not a household name, I would say, for the casual sports fan, but certainly for the NFL fans, Matt Patricia is a name that you know. He was with the Patriots for 14 years. Do you think the Patriots knew about this? And I'm not trying to drag them into it, but like where or why this came up is irrelevant to me. How you handled it and the fact that the Lions didn't. To me, the Lions didn't know about it. They didn't care to know about it. As you mentioned, they go over the top for players. So why you wouldn't bother to look into something like this they obviously didn't know. And if your response is he was 21, so don't worry about it. I mean,
Ooh. Yeah, I don't believe.
I don't know how I'm supposed to absorb that.
I don't know who wrote that statement, but don't write anymore.
No, no more statements for you. What are the chances LeBron goes to Philly this summer? We'll discuss that with Chris Broussard next.